That's your name.
It's not my name.
And you can't or won't pay it back.
I'm going to seize the car in front of the drive, the Ford.
In this series, we meet the people who are losing their homes.
Get out!
No, don't raise your voice at me.
We never receive any notice.
Their cars.
If I give you the keys,
Yes?
how do I know I'm going to get the car back?
And their possessions. We meet the people who are owed money.
Welcome to hell.
And the people whose job it is to collect it.
If you don't open the door, we'll smash the glass.
Because when you can't pay...
Don't speak to me like I'm some sort of dickhead, because I'll take your head off.
They'll take it away.
There's, like, different forms of scum in life, but you're just a higher class one.
Take him out.
Around 3.9 million British families do not have enough savings to cover their rent or mortgage for more than a month. A report by the Centre for Social Justice says thousands of people are caught in the perfect storm of rising living costs, falling wages and expensive credit.
Paul Bowhill and Steve Pinner are enforcement officers based in the southeast of England.
No, that's okay. We only had it to go to the High Court yesterday.
Also known as sheriffs, they spend their time chasing some of the 70,000 writs that are issued by the courts each year.
Hello?
Against people who can't pay.
I have a writ. The money's outstanding against you.
Yeah.
Can you pay it?
No, not at all.
And people who won't pay.
It's not me. I wasn't on that address on that time.
No. It's impossible.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do about it.
Today, the team is heading to Thornton Heath in South London to evict a female tenant who owes over £3,000 in rent. Despite being served notice to leave 6 months ago, she's refused to go. Paul and Steve have a High Court writ that instructs them to repossess the property and evict the tenant immediately. They complete up to 400 evictions a year, so there's not much that gets under their skin. But that's about to change.
Hello? God, it stinks of damp. Hello? Oh, it stinks.
Anybody in? Hello?
Ugh. Stinks.
It's really appalling, this is. I mean, this is like a danger to health, isn't it? Well, it's like pushchairs here, so if they've got young kids in here, what sort of people are they? Shithole. Every cold surface has got condensation on it. My guess is this is a dryer, and it's actually exhausting into the house here. There's damp everywhere. This is really bad because there are young children here. There's baby milk here, toddler milk.
The landlord's agent has arrived with a friend. She's been trying to access the property for months.
Oh my gosh. It's everywhere.
Steve's son, Ben, is also part of the enforcement team.
I don't know what to say. I don't know how you can live like this with kids. The thing is, I've written her so much letters saying, please, I want to get in, sort out the damp. Please, I want to...
So you've done everything you can to try and
and she's not letting me. She's not letting me. Now she doesn't answer the phone. She ain't been paying her rent. So what happens now?
The property's been repossessed. It's back in our possession.
Okay.
So we may look to do an agreement with you to let them stay for a few days, or let them take what they can, or you guys let them make arrangements with you for you to let them in to pick up the rest of their stuff.
Yeah, I'll let them in to get the rest of their stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't understand why people live like that, but there are more of them out there than you'll ever imagine. And unfortunately, obviously, we come across them.
An hour after they've arrived, the sheriffs have changed the locks and repossessed the house. but there's still no sign of the tenant.
Phone's going to voicemail, so we'll send her a text saying, your house has been repossessed, please call me immediately. That's the worst mould condensation I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And I've seen some shitholes in my time.
Just glad that I've got the property back now, so...
Yeah, we're not going to let her go back in.
Yeah, please don't.
No, we won't. It's now repossessed. The locks are changed. You need to pay us for changing the locks.
Okay, no problem.
Procedure is that she'll come back, we'll allow her to take her personal belongings,
Yeah.
and then she needs to make an arrangement with you to actually go back to get her stuff out.
Okay.
Almost 2 hours later, there's still no reply from the tenant.
We've done all we can do. We've sent her a text message. She's not responding to the text message. She's not picking up the phone. Well, I mean, there's nothing we can do. So, sad though it is, when we come back, as we will inevitably, she'll just be allowed to get her personal possessions and away she goes.
All the sheriffs can do now is wait. It's early evening. Paul has been called away on another case. Steve is on his own. He's calling the tenant every half hour, but there's still no reply. He's getting worried.
I do feel sorry for people who are losing their homes. Some people lose their homes through no fault of their own. Some people just work the system. I'm sorry, they do.
Finally, at almost 7 o'clock, he gets through.
Okay, the situation is, the house has now been repossessed. Okay. I have the keys. I am at the property now.
I did not receive any notice. I did not receive anything from them.
We have been trying to contact you all day long on the numbers that we've been able to find out for you. We tried. They've been going to voicemail. They've been going dead.
If I had received a text or a call, I would definitely have called back.
Okay. The situation is, unfortunately, the house now has been taken away from you. There is nothing we can do about that. I
am at work at the moment, and I've got two toddlers, a little boy of 1 year old, and a little girl of 2 years. I'm talking about having two children out in the night tonight with nothing at all. I am an adult, and if it means sleeping on the street, for me, that is okay. My little boy is just 1 year old. The little girl is 2 years. What can be done now to have access to that house?
Nothing. The problem you have is you need to get some stuff out of the house tonight so you can survive for a few days somewhere else until you can make an arrangement to come back and clear the rest.
Is it possible for you to stay back in London tonight?
And who's going to pay my hotel bill?
Okay, but is it possible to stay over with us this night?
For me to stay? No, not at all. I can't do that at all, I'm sorry.
I'm begging you to give me from now till Saturday.
I don't...
Nowhere for us to sleep.
What you must understand... What you must understand, I don't have the authority to do that.
Okay.
Listen, I'm going to call you back in a short while.
Okay.
South London. Earlier today, Paul Bohill and Steve Pinner began a difficult eviction in Thornton Heath.
Hello?
The tenant owes over £3,000. She's ignored requests to leave, despite being served notice 6 months ago. They discovered a house covered in damp.
This is really bad because there are young children here. There's baby milk here.
And a tenant in a desperate situation.
I'm begging you to give me from now till Saturday.
I don't...
Nowhere for us to sleep.
There is nothing we can do about that.
If it means sleeping on the street, for me, that is okay. My little boy is just 1 year old. The little girl is 2 years. What can be done now to have access to that house?
Nothing.
Now confronted by the possibility of putting a mother and 2 toddlers out onto the street late at night, Steve is making a mercy call to the landlord's agent.
Hello? Hi, this is Steve. I've just been on the phone to her, and she tells me that she's got 2 children under the age of 2 years old. She doesn't finish work till 11 o'clock and she's in Richmond somewhere.
Okay. What do we do then? You know, I can't put her back in the property for one night. I can't do it. If she finishes, if it was that important, she would ask to come off work. Wouldn't you come off work?
Well, I would, yes. You say you don't want to let her in for one night?
No, because then tomorrow she ain't going to come out.
She will if I come over. I mean, I'm doing this for me, OK? If you say that she can stay there for one night, I will see that she goes in the morning, takes her kids off somewhere, and then she comes back in a few days and clears the rest of her stuff.
100%.
100%. Physically. If there's a problem, I will deal with it. Are you OK with that? If I take that responsibility for you?
Yeah, you take that responsibility and give me a call tomorrow.
OK. I mean, what's hitting me is the 2 kids.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. Because I feel bad that she's got 2 kids as well. And
yeah, I mean, that's the only bit. If the kids wasn't there, I wouldn't be even having this conversation. Are you happy with that?
Yeah. All right, Steve. All right, then.
Thank you for that. Take care. Bye. There's 2 tiny kids. You can't expect... Well, maybe you can. Maybe I'm in the wrong job. I can't put 2 kids out on the street 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I can't do it. So the responsibility is on me. My boss may kick my behind for it tomorrow. I can't do it. You know, not everybody's heartless. That's the thing. And at the end of the day, we all have problems from time to time. So, you know, if you can help someone out, why not?
Steve's decision is unprecedented. Although sheriffs can use their discretion, this is the first time he's ever decided to let a tenant back in after they've been evicted. He restores the original locks so that the mum and her children can get in. And he will return tomorrow. It's 10 a.m. and Steve is on his way back to the property.
Today's the day she has to leave with her 2 little ones. I don't know the full reasons behind it all. All I just know is that the house has been repossessed, and that's all there is to it. She did send me a text last night thanking me for letting her stay. I mean, one more night, one more day wouldn't affect the agent, the landlord, or anybody. The only person it would have affected was the lady in the house.
Good morning.
How are you?
Did I speak to you? Were you?
I'm Steve. I am.
Thank you so much for yesterday. Because I gave you the guarantee that I don't want you...
You don't want to go back on your word.
Yeah,
I understand that.
I spoke to you reasonably yesterday and you were more than reasonable with me.
What you need to take now is the stuff that you're going to need till you can get back.
10 minutes. Or even a quick shower.
But despite drafting in a friend to help her pack, she's still not ready.
I take 6 minutes from waking up to get out the door.
I don't know how much time you got.
I haven't got much more. I did say to you 2 hours.
Steve changes the locks again. It's the 3rd and final time.
They're just getting their last few bags together. No lights on upstairs, I think.
It's taken over 24 hours, but the tenant finally leaves the property. This eviction is over.
Well, that's that now done. A little bit longer than I anticipated, but, you know, such is life. The most surprising thing about the job sometimes is you've done a repossession and asked somebody to leave their home, and then they say thank you. I don't understand that, but we're always grateful, and it does happen.
households sank further into debt this year for the first time since the onset of the financial crisis. A new report says that non-mortgage related debt grew 4% in the past 12 months.
Another day. There are more High Court writs to chase. While house repossessions make up a large portion of Paul and Steve's work, there's another part of the job that's taking up more and more of their time.
We will seize the vehicle until somebody comes forward with the relative paperwork to say that it isn't actually yours.
Known as seize and sells, the sheriff's aim is to recover debts owed to their clients.
We're a High Court enforcement agency and there is a debt outstanding. Is that her car?
I don't know.
Are you in a position to settle the debt for your mum? Let's say it's in the region of nearly £5 grand.
Every time a payment is made, Paul and Steve get a percentage.
The only thing that's going to stop us taking your car today is if you make a substantial payment.
I mean, you know, can I pay £1 grand or something and do something next week?
Happy days. We'll take £1,000 off him on his credit card and we'll go forward.
But if the debtor can't or won't pay, they have the authority to remove possessions to cover what's owed. Today, they're en route to a seize and sell job in Surbiton on the outskirts of London. The debt is an eye-watering £25,000. It's owed to a firm of solicitors who were employed to fight a court case, but who haven't been paid. If Paul and Steve can get the debtor to pay up, they'll get a percentage. If not, they'll have to remove his possessions and sell them to earn any commission.
Hello. Excuse me, I'm looking for these people here.
Mr. Joyce, am I here?
We're from the High Court. It's to do with legal costs. We have a warrant here for £25,000 worth of legal costs. Can we come in and talk about it so we can get on the telephone to them? All right?
Mr. Cho, the man they're after, is at work.
Mr. Cho is my husband. He's in office now.
All right. Is that quite close? Is the office quite close? Could you ring? Could we? You know, we need to resolve this today, if that's possible, please.
What's up? Oh, okay.
Hello? Yes, my name is Paul Bowhill. I'm a High Court enforcement officer. We have a warrant here for £25,300. Are you aware of it? If I can explain, this is quite serious though, is that the writ here authorises me to take payment of this money, 25,000, or to take away the contents of your house. I mean, is there any possibility that you can pay? Can I make it really clear that this warrant authorises me to take the content of your house away if I need to? And if we wait here, I'm quite happy to do that, but there is a cost to that. For every hour that I'm here, it'll cost you £218. Whenever we're doing a job, it's about getting paid, because I get paid if we get a result. We don't get paid if we don't. Yeah, but you're missing the point here. I'm staying here in the house until you ring me back. They're not grasping the enormity of the problem. The critical thing that I didn't notice earlier is the actual judgment in the first place is for less than £9,000.
Yeah, I saw that.
They appealed the decision and lost the appeal. So we're now looking at 3 times the figure. Wow. This is how debt runs out of control, isn't it? Really? It's a classic example.
Mr. Cho has been made legally responsible for the debt of £25,000 owed to the solicitors. It's a lot of money, and they've no idea if he can pay up. While they wait for his return, Steve begins an inventory to see if there's anything of significant value they can seize.
Dresser? Garden chair set?
Outside, Paul is weighing up the options.
We've done a land registry search, so we're ahead of the game. The property doesn't belong to them. We've also established that the person who is actually here, the guy whose name is on the warrant, is a chartered surveyor. And that the firm he works for are estate agents and surveyors. So in other words, they're people with the ability to pay, in other words.
As they can't take the house, it looks like the only way Mr. Cho can pay off his debt will be through his earnings, especially as Steve's inventory isn't coming up with much.
Nothing so far amounts to the fact that we're looking for £25,000. With all due respect to the people in here, none of this will even scratch the surface. Let's say £100, be brave and say £100 microwave. By the time you take it out, who wants to buy a second-hand microwave? They're not going to pay £100.
3 hours after the sheriff's arrival, Mr. Cho turns up. It's the first opportunity to discuss his debt face to face.
We've taken an inventory of the items in the ground floor here. I understand that upstairs is rented out to other people.
All of these are not ours.
Okay.
I'm not the owner. I had to sell this house.
All right.
Today, I was in the city of London. My wife called me urgently. Somebody visited to collect money, whatever. So I rushed to come here by train and bus. I was shocked.
As the sheriffs check Mr. Cho's expenditure, it becomes clear he's already paying out more money than he's getting in.
Is that your current debt?
And every month I should pay monthly. Can you imagine? So many items to pay, monthly payment. I had to because I'm...
This is you have to pay these?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why you may listed this furniture or whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
for
Yes. No, we know.
The chance of recovering the debt is disappearing.
I'm not in the business of just going through the motions, but I do need to establish that this house doesn't belong to you, which we've done by checking the land registry. You haven't swung into the drive in a brand new Mercedes car, which we would have taken.
No.
So that's okay.
Nothing.
So that's okay.
For example, you mean?
For example, yeah. That's right, yeah. So we will go away empty-handed, but happy that we've done our job. Now, there is only one weakness to this. If we go away, we report that there is nothing to seize. They could immediately, if they wish, issue bankruptcy proceedings against you.
Voluntary bankrupt.
You're going to do that, are you?
Yeah, myself.
Oh, that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah, so,
well,
but don't worry.
It's not fine, but that's all right. Being in debt used to be a shameful thing. Going bankrupt used to have one hell of a stigma attached to it, but that only now applies to people over 50. People over 50 will be ashamed to be in debt, and they would not want to go bankrupt. Younger people effectively don't care anymore. It's not a problem to them.
With an impending bankruptcy, Mr. Cho is in no position to pay up. Paul and Steve leave empty-handed.
Thank you very much indeed.
Very kind, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The guy's going to file his bankruptcy. I don't doubt that. He's told us a story which is sad in its own way, and the thing has just spiralled out of control.
It's very shameful for me, personally, because I have worked quite a long time. I should have saved money and to pay the debt. But I couldn't pay because my personal economic difficulties. That's why I feel somewhat shameful. Yeah.
Charity Shelter says that 1 in 11 people fear they will not be able to afford to keep a roof over their heads. It found that millions across the country will be starting this year anxious about whether they will be able to pay rent or their mortgage.
Today, the enforcement team is on their way to an unusual house repossession in Croydon, South London.
We're looking for
79.
79.
There's one landlord and one property, but two sets of tenants are being evicted. The landlord served notice on them 3 months ago. He wants to renovate the property, but they've not budged.
Number 79, next to the white door.
The arrival of the sheriffs, armed with a High Court writ of possession, will soon bring both tenancies to an end.
Good morning. We're High Court enforcement officers. We come to repossess the property today. So...
Is there somebody else here as well?
Yeah, that's upstairs.
OK.
The downstairs room is home to a young family with a small child. They have no rent arrears. In a room upstairs is a tenant who has 2 children. She owes almost £8,000 and has not paid rent for 24 months.
We're High Court enforcement officers.
Wow.
And we've come to repossess the property today.
Okay, yeah.
With the landlord keen to begin renovations, there's an urgency to get this job wrapped up.
This has been changed to the High Court. There's no eviction letters.
I don't understand.
No, but you had 2 months' notice of the...
No, I have no notice at all.
No.
I have getting no notice, no eviction, no bailiff. I have getting nothing at all.
When we arrive on their door, we explain why we're there, and the first thing they say to us is I don't know nothing about this. We don't know what you're talking about. And then we say to them, well, you must have had a letter from this. We've never had any letters from anybody telling us anything about this. And then you gradually talk to them and then realise, oh, yeah, we did have a letter saying that once. But they still try and deny that it's their problem.
The writ instructs the sheriffs to evict both sets of tenants, but there's a problem. It's the council.
Have you spoken to the council about being rehoused?
Yeah, I've been there.
And what was their answer? Wait till the bailiffs come.
Yeah, I went there twice.
The tenants have got standard delaying tactics, which are inevitably supported by the social housing people, so the councils, in other words. So the minute the landlord wants his property back, the councils go into mode, stop the housing benefit, and immediately start to obstruct, so the entire system clogs up.
Paul and Steve are encountering more tenants who are refusing to move because they believe the council won't give them somewhere else to live.
The landlord has chosen to go to the High Court to get this eviction notice because we're quicker than the county court is. We're from the High Court. No, we're from the High Court in London. Right, and they use us because we're fast. And that is that the paperwork was signed off in the High Court yesterday, and we're actually here today. Right, but if you've been to the court, if you've been to the council, I can give you a copy of this High Court order. But the long and the short of it is this. You've got 2 hours to get your stuff packed and move out.
Is it?
Yeah.
2 hours. If I can't go in 2 hours, what's going to happen?
We'll just throw it all out. We'll just throw it all out into the street. No, that's okay, but it still needs to be done.
It's a tough stance, but Paul's motivation is that he wants the council to take action, so the tenants aren't left homeless.
We are here to evict you today. Right? We might appear to be nice, but you will be evicted today. We'll try and help out however we can in the meantime. We're caught in the same trap that we were always caught in here. Been to the council as recent as yesterday, Victor has, and he's already been on the case, and they're saying it's okay, they can't evict you without notice. Wrong. This is a High Court order, completely different to the county court. The bailiffs might give them a month or 2 months, but that's why the landlord's actually called us in.
Once evicted, the tenants should be entitled to emergency accommodation, as they both have children. But there's not always enough places to go round. It's up to the council to decide who gets help and who doesn't. Paul is doing all he can.
Victor, can you tell them it's important? Time is ticking away. When you go in there, say that, let's put a deadline on it for their purposes. At 1 o'clock, we're going to throw everything out.
All right.
Okay. Just to impress the urgency. Okay.
Excuse me, how am I going to get my stuff then?
Go and see the council first. And we're going to do nothing till you come back from the council.
Okay, make sure.
So you make sure the council understand the pressure.
You got my stuff in there?
No, just make sure that the council understand.
Outside, the landlord has arrived.
How are we doing? You right?
It's nice to see you again.
So how are we doing? Who's going to the council?
The Victor, he went yesterday, and it's the usual old trot out. Got to wait till the bailiff comes. They've both got a copy of the writ to take to the council. What we're trying to do is, but if they get to the council and they get a positive response, we can plan from that. We'll get it rolling. So your man's going to change the locks. There's the keys.
We've had to go through the protocol to get the eviction or the cost involved. It's cost us almost $3-4 grand to get this whole matter sorted out. Now it's going to cost us thousands to put this property straight. But it's one of those things what we have to do, part and parcel of our job. So, you know, we're just glad that we got the possession today. So all of this can come out, all of this floor, all of this carpet. Then come down, Jermaine.
15 minutes after the tenants leave to go to the council offices, the renovations begin.
The landlord's happy. He's got control of the place. He's got all the keys. Locks are changed. He's just ready to roll. He's ripping the floors up as we speak.
Go on, mate.
Early evening. The tenants' personal possessions are being collected. After many hours of negotiations, they've both been given emergency accommodation.
If you look at the routine of a repossession, after we've overcome the first hit and we've repossessed the property, we change from like bastard enforcement officers into caring individuals, and we will then go to tremendous lengths to make sure that people are dealt with sympathetically.
Paul's uncompromising approach left the council with little option.
One in 5 families in England now rent from a private landlord. The latest census figures from the Office of National Statistics also show that the proportion of families that own their own home has dropped by 13% over the last decade, as more people are priced out of property ownership.
It's 2 weeks before Christmas in central London. Enforcement officers Paul and Steve are travelling to one of the capital's most expensive areas, right in the heart of the city.
We're in the congestion cards, aren't we?
Yeah, we've been in it all day.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
That's what I'm saying. Parking was a tenner, congestion's a tenner. You know.
It's a place where evictions might seem unlikely, but you'd be mistaken.
He'll come back and say, bloody expensive that is. Well, he might choose more flowery words.
They're chasing a debt of around £4,000, made up of rent arrears and sheriff's fees. The High Court writ has instructed them to both repossess the property and seize possessions. The locksmith has already arrived, but before they meet the tenants, they have to get in.
Hi, sorry to trouble you. We're enforcement officers and we need to get into one of the flats up top. I wonder if you could let us in. Thank you very much.
Once inside, it's an uphill struggle, even before the job has begun.
Wow.
Need oxygen. 97 stairs to the street.
97?
Yeah.
No wonder I was out of breath. You're out of breath.
I should think so. I'm getting up too old for this, love.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one out of breath.
Good morning.
What's the problem?
We're High Court enforcement officers, and there is a debt outstanding of £4,000, and we've come to repossess the property today.
Give me 1 second.
Sure. No, we will.
The man who owes the money is not at home, but his partner is in. The rent has not been paid for 3 months.
There is a debt outstanding of £4,000. So it's been to court,
Yes.
And you lost in court, and now we come to evict you.
Yeah, we will be able to pay half of that.
Well,
what? Because we are waiting for the money.
Okay.
The offer to pay is unusual, but it's too little too late.
The situation is that I need to secure the debt on money, on equipment and property here.
While the locks are changed, Steve chats to the debtor on the phone.
The rent hasn't been paid for some time. The landlord has gone to court, and it's now been transferred up to the High Court, and we're High Court enforcement officers. We've come to evict you today. The situation will be is that we will seize everything in the flat until this money's paid. Please don't take this the wrong way. If you pay the money today, you still have to leave. There's nothing I can do about that. So please accept my apologies for that, but there is nothing I can do. Let me just pass you back. Thank you.
The tenant claims the money will be paid today, but nothing can stop the eviction.
He's quite reasonable. He says it's his fault. What happens if he could pay the money today? He's expecting some money today. So I just explained to him that, he can pay the money today, but there is nothing I can do about them staying in the flat. He's on his way, so he'll be with us in a short while. They have a 7-year-old daughter as well.
Okay. While they wait for the tenant to come back, Paul decides to intervene. He has a plan to soften the blow. He calls the landlord's agent.
How are you? I'm fine, thank you, sir. Yeah. We have repossessed the flat. Okay. There's just a couple of questions, if I may. Is they say they are able to pay this rent arrears. Yep. It was just a question as to whether the landlord might review the situation in view of the fact that they're going to pay up to date.
Basically, would you let them stay if they clear the arrears?
Yes, I don't mean stay today because we've now repossessed it. So.
Yeah, I mean, moving forward, effectively.
We could give them a holiday let for a week or a fortnight. So the question is purely, would the landlord look favourably if they pay that, the repossession costs and the locksmith's costs? Mm-hmm. You might go forward with it.
Fine. Let me ask him. He's based in the States, so I won't be able to get an answer for a good couple of hours.
All right. Thanks ever so much. Take care. Bye.
A holiday let would allow the tenants to move back in after a few days, giving them time to sort out the debt with the landlord.
The incentive on this is if the landlord does agree to that, he's going to get his rent paid up to date. Otherwise, what we've got in the flat isn't going to pay £4,000. So the landlord has a choice. Bird in the hand, isn't it? All, or fuck all.
London. Just 2 weeks before Christmas. Paul and Steve are carrying out an eviction in one of the capital's most expensive suburbs. They're chasing a High Court writ for just over £4,000, based on rent arrears plus costs. When they arrived, only the debtor's partner was at home.
We're High Court enforcement officers.
What's the problem?
There is a debt outstanding of £4,000.
But now the man they've been waiting for is back. Chris from Poland recently moved here with his family to start a new job as an area sales manager.
My name is Paul, this is Steve.
Hi there, Chris.
We have a warrant here. Now, can I just say something before we go? Is there a possibility you can pay the rent?
Yes.
OK. It doesn't affect the fact that we've now repossessed the property, but the landlord lives in the States. I've already just phoned the agent and asked if there's a possibility, if you pay the rent tomorrow, for example, would he still let you stay here, if that's OK with you? But you still have to leave today.
Yeah, I understand.
And then, but what I'm trying to say is we're quite happy to try and change things to make it go forward.
I came to London in February 2013, and we came with the vision of me having a full-time job, but at that time the job did not happen, and we run into the problems.
If you can get your stuff together, and then I'll get in touch with you if the landlord comes up trumps and agrees that you can stay here.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Rents are quite high. Well, unless you don't pay them, then they don't cost much. But then you get thrown out of the house. You cannot live in London without money. And we're not the kind of people that will go on benefit or child benefit or whatever. This was not a matter of us trying to avoid and escape and not ever pay that. It was just a matter that a few months it was late, and that was the problem, because of the work, because of the job, because of the situation.
Chris and his partner leave the property with just a few personal possessions. They still have no idea if the landlord will accept the sheriff's plan for their return.
Can I lock it down?
Yeah.
Or...
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
We'll come down and speak with you.
All right.
There are absolutely genuine people who don't want to be in debt, and they can't avoid the consequences of what's happening around them. So in other words, they're not driving the situation.
It's a few days later, and Paul and Steve are returning to central London. Chris has paid up. The sheriff's plan has worked.
Okay, this is a holiday letting agreement, which will give you 14 days to stay here to sort out everything else that you need to do, and then we will go on from there.
Essentially what's happened, you've paid the rent up to date now, so there's no debt, and the landlord is in agreement that you continue, so he obviously accepts that you're a good tenant, apart from this hiccup over the rent. But all that happens, because it takes time for that other agreement to start, we do this short term.
You could just sign the bit where the tenant is.
That's there. I'll contact the agents tomorrow, sort out the details, and I'll let you know.
Okay. Okay, that's it.
That's all we want.
Yeah, that's it. We're done.
We'll leave you now.
Thank you.
And we'll...
Good luck, Chris. We'll see you soon.
Have a nice Christmas. Good Christmas.
Yeah. You too. Have a good Christmas.
Yeah, thank you.
It's that I'm going to lose my home. I really need to do something, because, you know, he is a genuine person, you know, and everything he said he would do, he did. So you have to give credit to him. So that little sharp jab to begin with focused him, and he's now back at home, happy, ready for Christmas.
The landlord's got his rent arrears, which if we'd thrown him out and left him out, would not have occurred. So this is an occasion when it's a win-win situation. I'm pleased with the result. They're nice people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy days.
Onward and onwards. Oh, onward and upwards.
Onward, driver.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Will take it away returns later in the year, but the conversation has only just begun.